Here's your guy stacked up again, the fighting, going in, boom, the shooting had started. Carrying your soldier away, see the blood dripping out of him? I mean, he was wounded. I mean, he was hurt.
Zobaczyłem tylko błysk i poczułem ukłucie.
Pull a pin, I took stance and I threw my grenade and I landed it.
Wczesny ranek, 11 września 2001 roku. Terroryści Al-Kaidy porywają 4 amerykańskie samoloty pasażerskie. 2 z nich wbijają się w wieżę World Trade Center. 3 niszczy część Pentagonu. Ostatni rozbija się na polach Pensylwanii. W atakach ginie prawie 3000 osób, w tym 6 Polaków. 4 tygodnie później amerykańskie i brytyjskie myśliwce niszczą pierwsze bazy talibów w Afganistanie. Polska przyłącza się do koalicji antyterrorystycznej. Od wiosny 2002 roku do baz w Afganistanie wyjechało 26 000 Polaków. 44 zginęło, 360 zostało ciężko rannych. Kiedy talibowie atakują Amerykę, Charlie jest początkującym fotoreporterem. Nasłuchuje policyjnego radia, fotografuje miejskie wydarzenia, głównie w nocy.
I started working as a photojournalist in 2004. Before then I had worked as a documentary type of photographer on bigger sort of projects, but they were more in lines for like books, and it wasn't photojournalism. But one of my favorite photographers was James Nachtwey, and he's this incredible war photographer. And I read once that he had said,
Sierżant Corey Lee Speck pochodzi z wojskowej rodziny. Dziadek był jednym z pierwszych żołnierzy elitarnej Navy SEALs. To jedna z najlepszych sił specjalnych.
Got there about 11:30 and 6:30 in the morning we were on our first patrol and we got pinned down by snipers and I earned my combat badge in my first 11 hours in Afghanistan, which is what you see right here. Some people will never earn that their whole military career. The first deployment, we're there, I think, a little over 10 months.
2008, I started photographing the New York National Guard as they trained to go to Afghanistan. I thought it was really important because the New York National Guard had members of this team, which was the 69th Infantry Division, had responded on September 11th.
My second deployment was 10 months after I came home, and I was approached by one of our colonels here in the state of Georgia, who was a personal friend of mine, but also a commander, and he asked me to be a bodyguard for him.
I'm just thankful for my boys. You know, they kept my ass out of the hole.
All right, I'll say grace real quick for a food and we'll eat.
What?
So I thought, well, these guys who responded on September 11th were now going to where the plan was hatched.
I was one out of 18 soldiers chosen out of the state of Georgia to go.
The newspaper wasn't sending anybody. So I started covering them, photographing them on my own before they went, and then I was able to get an embed. Started covering the training of Afghan forces, and I spent close to 3 months in 2008 in southern Afghanistan.
You drive around and you know you're there to help the people, but the people look at you and you have no idea whether they're friend or foe. I don't think you ever will know. It's unsettling. Your adrenaline's always going, and you're always like looking over your shoulder or trying to be watchful of everything around you.
There was real tension with the Afghan soldiers between the US soldiers training them and the Afghan soldiers as they were trained. That became what was really, that summer and the following year was what really became known as the blue on green, when the Afghans were killing the NATO mentors.
He came, we were told that we were going to have a photojournalist with us. And of course, a lot of people don't like that. Gets people in trouble sometimes.
It was a 3rd Platoon of Delta Company, 48th Infantry Division. And like, these were the guys you wanted to be with. So I got to them. I arrived at the afternoon of September 9th, 2009, And I took a couple photographs of them as they were driving down the road and getting out and doing little patrols.
He started riding along with us. We thought he was crazy. You know, he's got no guns, he's got nothing. You can't beat up the Taliban with a camera.
Charlie od razu wpada w sidła tej wojny. Szybko poczuje jej smak. Jest 10 września 2009 roku.
The next morning, we got up at like, I don't know, I want to say 5:36 in the morning. The lieutenant started planning this trip, this mission, which was a mission on a supply route, a secondary supply route that they called Old Florida.
None of us really wanted to go. Charlie was not gonna go. He told us he was gonna stay behind and just get some sleep and work on some pictures that day. And we kind of kept bugging him, saying, "Come on, Charlie, come on, let's go." And he finally said, okay, and he got in the truck with us.
We set out with 3 MRAPs, the big armored vehicles, with 14 US soldiers, and then me, 15. So 15 Americans and about 45 Afghan National Army soldiers who were in pickups and Humvees.
I believe 3 to 4 weeks prior to that, we were coming out of a village, and that village fired a rocket at us, and it went over the top of our truck, and they missed. And then they shot a little bit, and then they ran away. So we marked it on the map, and we wanted to come back and find out why that village was shooting at us. So we were just gonna do what we call a presence patrol, where we drive in, just let you know that we're here, you know, we're not afraid, we're here, and we're kind of watching you.
Very bumpy road.
I would say we were on the road for maybe 30 minutes, where we got off what they call the hardball and then into the dirt road, so from the pavement to the dirt road. And we were on a dirt road for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes where the first shots were fired.
We didn't know that day they were having like a Taliban leader meeting, and there was a lot of bad folks in that town that day. And they thought we knew they were there.
Within minutes, everybody dismounted from that MRAP. They jumped out, and it was next to what they call a wadi, which is like sort of a ditch that water runs through. The wadi was about, I'd say, 8 feet deep and maybe 10 feet wide.
All of a sudden, mortars started dropping in on us, blowing up in the canal, blowing up around the trucks. I, at the time, was on the first truck on the 50 cal. I was the gunner on the top. I started identifying enemies, and I started firing. We made a lot of kill shots.
It was like well directed. I remember at one point the lieutenant was on the radio, and I was next to him photographing him, and he was talking to his sergeant. He was calling in or doing, you know, what lieutenants do when the commander does when you're in a firefight. And a shot just went right between us, and it was like, whoa. Oh shit. Son of a bitch.
We are under fire as we speak. I need them here as soon as possible.
And then about 2.5 hours, our emergency cast came on station, meaning Apaches, helicopters. They came on station and they started flying around and identifying enemy combatants, taking shots again. And at that time, it kind of gave us a break because I think the enemy was trying to scatter and hide.
W 2007 roku wraz z moim batalionem udałem się na drugą zmianę ISAF Afganistan. Misja ta trwała 6,5 miesiąca. Następny wyjazd do Afganistanu rozpoczął się w 2009 roku, w maju.
Nasze bazy rozlokowano w prowincjach Ghazni i Gardez. 5. zmiana liczy 1200 polskich żołnierzy.
5. zmiana charakteryzowała się dużą aktywnością talibów. Już od pierwszego dnia rozpoczęły się patrole, pojawiły się ostrzały, wpadaliśmy w zasadzki. Praktycznie nie było dnia bez kontaktu ogniowego, bez działania militarnego, bez wymiany ognia.
Hey, be advised, go ahead and send that sit rep up to the Jock and Ghazni, over.
They still keep calling for backup. At this point, I believe they had called, the Polish Quick Reaction Force was en route.
Fox 06 Charlie, tu Amber 99. Otrzymali zadanie udać się w miejsce. Victor Charlie 519 045 na wsparcie Foxa 06 Alpha.
To był 10 września 2009 roku. Piękny dzień, świeci słońce. Gdzieś koło godziny 11 spłynął meldunek, że siły amerykańskie potrzebują pomocy. No i nasz pluton został właśnie skierowany, żeby tej pomocy udzielić Amerykanom.
Z polskiej bazy wyrusza oddział QRF, Siły Szybkiego Reagowania.
Pluton QRF-u składał się z 4 pojazdów i 35 żołnierzy. I taką właśnie siłą udaliśmy się na pomoc siłom amerykańskim.
I mean, the Taliban just kept shooting and shooting and shooting. So there was concern was starting to grow because by 11 a.m. they were absolutely running out of ammunition on their heavy weapons. The heavy weapons are what keep the Taliban at bay. It's not so much the assault rifles, it's the .50 caliber, it's this machine grenade gun. That's what's keeping the Taliban at bay. That's what's preventing them from coming in.
Hey, listen up! They're gonna use that smoke to mask their position behind the clout wall.
Over the radio, they're telling the lieutenant that the Taliban are squirting out on motorcycles. And like right at this time when the Apaches came in, it must have been 10, 15 minutes later, the Polish Quick Reaction Force came in I think 3 armored vehicles of what you guys called Rosamont.
Dojechaliśmy, już widzieliśmy, że w sumie nie jest dobrze z tego względu, że podczas naszej trasy dojazdu widzieliśmy przylatujące już samoloty na miejscu już. Krążyły śmigłowce szturmowe, no i jeszcze widzieliśmy już płomienie, że coś się dzieje.
And they had shown up, but they were on the other side of the canal. They couldn't figure out how to get onto our side. So some of their dismounts got off their trucks and they came down in the canal and then back into our side. And I dismounted and put a different gunner on the truck.
Poprosili nas o to, żebyśmy razem z nimi weszli do wioski. Zostały wydzielone siły od nas, które mogły tam wejść. Taka wzmocniona drużyna.
Znalazłem się w składzie drużyny, która miała wesprzeć siły amerykańskie w przeszukaniu wioski.
We were trying to just practically follow the blood trails because that was the best way to find them. And we searched a lot of homes, found a lot of weapons.
The best way to describe this village is imagine a cornfield and you have roads and you can't see over and you can't see over. It was like labyrinths and mud walls and lots of little structures.
And when we started, we had A&A with us. But when this happened, when we turned around, they were gone. I think we had maybe 4 A&A guys. And what they had done was they had got in their trucks and ran away. But they went the same exact road that we came in on, which is very dangerous because the enemy likes to put bombs or IEDs or wait for you thinking you're gonna come that way. And that's exactly what they did. And they hit a big IED and a bunch of guys died. They drive like it's like a big Ford Ranger kind of, and the whole truck was just blown up there was nothing left.
As we're going in, you can see remnants of motorcycles that were shot by the Apaches. What were the remains of humans that you could barely tell were remains just splatted on the wall, like the Apache just chewed them up. Everybody's running into this village. 2 or 3 Apaches overhead, low, so they're loud. You have the Afghans, the US soldiers, Polish soldiers, all going in. And all of a sudden, everybody started spreading apart.
Zaczęliśmy sprawdzać każde miejsce, skąd było zagrożenie, skąd wcześniej był ostrzał. Do tego dochodziły ślady krwi.
Started to infill into the village and find people and do stuff. We got maybe 20 minutes worth walking into, and it was like they just rained down on top of us. There was Taliban everywhere shooting at us. They ambushed us.
So you saw these, like, I could show you a photo. You saw like 5, 6, 7, 8 Polish soldiers stacked up against the door, a couple Afghan soldiers, and Corey and 3 of the Polish soldiers, maybe 4.
I don't speak Polish, so it's very dangerous for me to operate with them. I can work near them, but not with them. I knew what they were doing. They were going to go in the house, so I decided to go. I ran down the side of the house, and I decided to take the back corner and watch the back of the house as rear security.
Została drużyna podzielona na 2 ekipy. Jedna, która weszła do środka, a druga okrążyła budynek z drugiej strony. Jako pierwszy wchodził starszy szeregowy Piotr Marciniak do pomieszczenia, z którego otworzono ogień.
It was very dangerous for the Polish soldiers. What I knew at that time was that I heard a lot of gunfire. And then it went quiet. So my training told me that the Polish soldiers had taken the house and cleared it or killed whoever, and they were probably looking through the house and then they were going to come out. So I waited and I waited, and what felt like a lifetime, I kept looking down the side of the building to where the Polish soldiers had made entry, but I couldn't see anybody moving. But it was quiet, so I didn't know what was going on. And then a little piece of the wall fell off the back of the house, and then another chunk, and then like a piece, I don't know, 2 feet wide, fell out.
I turn, and there to my left, poking out of the building, is a Taliban, full beard, aviator glasses, and like their turban type of thing, and he's firing AK.
A Taliban guy stuck his head out the door, out the hole, and he stuck his head out and looked around and then went back because he saw me. So now I knew that something wasn't right because the Taliban guy was still alive, but there was nobody shooting anymore.
Dostaliśmy po radiu, że jeden z naszych został ranny. Wróciliśmy się do tego budynku.
So Corey and 3 Polish soldiers go around the back of this mud compound, and behind the compound is a low wall.
Motioned to him what I wanted to do. I told him I wanted to go around the back, you know, in Taliban, and I had a grenade launcher. I wanted to go around the back and just shoot a grenade in, and we could be done.
Piloci śmigłowców prosili nas, żebyśmy się odsunęli od tego budynku i chcieli w sumie ten budynek zrównać z ziemią, ale nie pozwoliliśmy na to, bo cały czas jednak liczyliśmy, że foka żyje.
At the same time, you know, it must only been about, man, they couldn't have been 30 feet apart. At the same time, I see that the guy pop out, fire, and then I see your soldier, the Polish soldier, just flying backwards.
Zobaczyłem tylko błysk i poczułem ukłucie.
He got hit directly and he flew back like in the movies. He flew in the air and landed on his back. Lost his gun and he was rolling around. He was in pain. He had blood everywhere.
Poczułem ciepło na klatce piersiowej z krwi, która wypływała.
At the same time, I see your soldier just flying backwards, lands in a ditch next to Corey. This is a second, you know, 2 seconds.
My cały czas wiązaliśmy przeciwnika ogniem, ale w sumie można powiedzieć, że też cały czas mieliśmy rannych. Z tego względu, że mieliśmy już w sumie jednego zabitego, jednego rannego. Za chwilę następna osoba została ranna, dostała w nogę.
At that point, I'm diving into the ditch. I hit the ditch. I see your soldier covered in blood, and he's screaming. Apaches circling overhead, loud. I mean, it's loud.
Wtedy najbliżej mnie znajdował się żołnierz amerykański.
He was on his back. I ripped open his jacket and I saw that his plates had been completely shattered, which means he got shot a couple times. And then I found his wound.
I was having a hard time getting his vest off while Corey was dealing with the wound. So Corey takes out of his first aid kit, pulls out gauze.
Przyłożył mi opatrunek. Traciłem nadzieję, że z tego wyjdę.
It looked like his armpit and his chest had been tore open by gunshots and maybe his shoulder. And his pec muscle was falling out of his armpit. It looked like a chicken breast.
There's a serious communication issue. So Corey's yelling to your other 3 soldiers who are low against the wall. They don't know if the Taliban guy's above them, so they're like covered.
Z 8-osobowej drużyny zostało 3 zdolnych do jakiejkolwiek walki. Już wiedzieliśmy, że nie wejdziemy do budynku, żeby odbić fokę, z tego względu, że już nasze siły były dość okrojone.
And I remember I just went like this, and I always carried 2 grenades on my chest. And I felt the grenade, pulled it, I showed the Polish soldiers, the unwounded ones, pull a pin, I took stance, and I threw my grenade, and I landed it right in front of the hole where they were coming out. I don't think they saw it, and they were right in front of it, and when the explosion went off.
In the perfect world, I would have liked to just keep taking pictures. That's what I'm there for. That's my job. I went back to taking pictures. I took a picture when he first got shot. Corey was on him. I went, boom, took a picture. And I realized right then and there, this was like, photo time was over, you know, and that something needed to be done. And the help was needed. And it was just confusion. And I think what it came down to is that I understood what Corey needed help.
On nawet trzymał broń tego żołnierza amerykańskiego, który opatrywał Kuliego.
One Polish soldier he really wanted to carry his friend, so he put his gun down. He picked him up, and then I held it the back half of his shoulder and his leg to take some of the weight, and we just ran with him.
Staraliśmy się jak najszybciej wycofać się w bezpieczne miejsce z tamtej okolicy.
Wynieśli mnie spod tego ostrzału w bezpieczne miejsce.
We ran through that yard, and we got him down. I was kneeling over, and I was picking him up on my shoulder, and I stood up, and then I heard my team yelling for me. Scooped him up, and just with all I had left, I just ran, because we were still getting shot at. I just ran down the alley, and I stopped when I found my team and the medical doctor. We put him down, we started working on him.
Wezwali śmigłowce medyczne, które faktycznie przyleciały po kilku minutach i były w stanie zabrać naszych rannych. Trafiliśmy na dość mocną ekipę, która naprawdę była dobrze wyposażona, dobrze wyszkolona i myślę, że ludzie, którzy już wiedzą, że nie wyjdą, że nie przeżyją, że po prostu są w jakimś okrążeniu, walczą już do końca i tacy ludzie się nie poddają.
Amerykanie przewożą rannych do szpitala polowego w Gazni. Marcin od razu trafia na stół operacyjny. Trwa walka o jego życie.
Zaraz mu zobaczę.
Pani porucznik poinformowała mnie, że wszystko jest dobrze, że wyszedłem z tego. Niestety nie udało im się wyciągnąć kuli, że kula została blisko kręgosłupa i że raczej będzie tak, że będę musiał żyć z tą kulą w ciele. Też dowiedziałem się, że dostałem w rękę, bo przy całej akcji nawet nie czułem tego, że ręka też była postrzelona.
Marcin jest w ciężkim stanie. Leży przygotowany do transportu do bazy w Ramstein w Niemczech.
Podczas przygotowania mnie do tego transportu nastąpiła następna reanimacja. Okazało się, że mój stan nie jest jeszcze tak stabilny i obudziłem się znowu po paru dniach już w bazie w Niemczech.
Corey saved his life. Corey saved everybody's life when he threw that grenade. Everybody back there, including myself, we would have gotten... That guy was going to keep shooting.
I just did what I was trained to do. I didn't care if he was wearing a different uniform or what. I just knew that he had been shot, you know, and he was hurt. So, and he needed help.
Oni dla mnie będą największymi bohaterami, bo dzięki nim teraz tu jestem, gdzie jestem. Mam swoją rodzinę.
I never got to see Martin again. I didn't know who he was. I just prayed and hoped that he had lived, you know? That was it. Because I don't know why I was put there. I didn't want to be on that deployment. I didn't want to be in that area. And that day, I just happened to be the first guy in, and he was right there next to me. And when I went around the corner, maybe if Martin wasn't standing there, it would have been me. You know, I would have been shot. And I don't know what would have happened. So I think, I think God put me there for a reason.
Do Polski wróciłem w październiku 2009 roku.
After I sat down, after about 2 hours before the whole firefight was done, I had sat down and I was drinking water and something hit my water bottle. And I didn't know what it was. And when I looked down, I still had the grenade pin that was stuck on my finger from putting it on my glove and pulling the grenade. And I never let it go. You know, it saved my life. It saved his life too. So, you know, I've worn that for the rest of my military career. So.
Chciałbym kiedyś spotkać tego żołnierza amerykańskiego. Nie wiem, co bym mu powiedział. Myślę, na pewno podałbym mu rękę, podziękowałbym mu za uratowanie życia. Tak naprawdę data 10 września 2009 roku była datą moich ponownych narodzin.
Because I feel that for both of them, it would be good for both of them to meet each other. And that to me what matters, not so much myself.